Hi computer scientists, Mr. Stafford here, and today I want to show you Unit 3, Lesson 7, using static variables and constants. In the first programming level, it's asking us to import painterplus.java, which I've already done, from your backpack. And then in painterplus.java, create a counter variable called numPainters using a static variable and initialize it to 0. Okay, so let's unpack that a little bit. We need to make a static variable, so it's going to be public static int numPainters. Okay, so the variable is called numPainters, and I want to initialize it to be 0, so it equals 0. The second step says update the constructor to increment numPainters each time an object of the PainterPlus class is created. Okay, so I have two constructors, one with parameters and one without parameters and one with parameters. And something to keep in mind is that the super call must be the first call in your constructor. So any additional code in your constructor has to come after the super call. And what I'm wanting to do is increment numPainters, so I'm going to do numPainters ++, and I'm going to do that in both constructors. numPainters. Okay, and then in my neighborhood, so I'm going to flow over to my neighborhood, create multiple Painter Plus objects. So I'm going to go Painter Plus Melinda equals new Painter Plus. And then it's asking us to print the variable numPainters. So I'm going to print system.out.print. And I'm going to talk to the Painter Plus class, Painter Plus, dot, and access the numPainters static variable. So I'm going to run this, make sure I don't have any errors, and I don't. And it looks like I just have one painter right now, which makes sense because I've just made a single painter. So I'm going to make, let's make 4 of these things. We got Melinda, Medina, James, and Sam. Okay, I'm going to run this. I've got 4 painters, so I should see 1, 2, 3, 4. That looks good. Go ahead and click Finish and get on to the next level. Okay, and then it says your character is starting their traversals by visiting a city to see what it's like during the daytime and at night. So look at the documentation for the theater and find the sound loader.read and play sound double sound methods. So I want to copy this in the help and tips. That's where the documentation for theater is going to be. I would open it up in another tab and find the sound loader class. I'm looking at the sound loader class, and this is the read method that we are going to use. Okay, and also there is a play sound method that we're going to use, but I'll take a look at that documentation here in just a minute. So it says in character story, add the following to the show city method. So I'm going to go to character story. Quick way to find it is hit Control F and look for the show city method. So I'm going to find show city, and then I can exit out of it, and I'm here at show city. And it says, number 1, use the sound loader.read, use sound loader.read to read drum bass groove.wave into a double array called city music. So there's a lot to unpack there as well. So what we're trying to do is make a double array called city music. So I'm going to do that now. It's a double array. Its name is city music. And I need to use the soundloader.read method. So that is this. the soundloader.read method is, so from the soundloader class, its name is read. It's public, it's static, so we can share it throughout all of our instances of the soundloader class. And it returns a double variable, and the parameter is a string, okay, that represents a file name. So I'm just going to copy this, soundloader.read, and I need to put in for the parameter this wave file. So I'm going to copy it, paste it in, so that drum bass groove.wave. And again, what it returns, back to the documentation, it returns a double array, which is why we can store a double array from this call right here. Okay, so then what we need to do is display the city daytime PNG image as the background of the stage. So we have displayed images before, and for instance, I just scrolled up from my last lesson that I completed with the unicorn, and I have mystage.draw image. So instead of trying to retype it, I'm going to copy this and then just edit it for what I need right here. So mystage.draw image, instead of this gradient, I'm going to draw this city daytime PNG. Okay, this is 0, 0 for my initial my X and Y, the width, the height, and then the rotation, and that all looks good. mystage.getWidth, mystage.getHeight, and no rotation. Okay. Third is display the image of your character. Now again, we have displayed our character before. What I'm going to do is just copy this line of code that I just typed right there, and instead of the city daytime image, I want to draw my character. And the character wants to be in the middle of the scene. I want it to be in the middle of the scene. So I'm going to go 100, 100. The size is going to be 100 and 100. And I'm not going to rotate my character. Okay. Next thing it says, use mystage.playSound to play the array created from the file. Okay. So we created an array from that file as our step number 1. Okay, so I'm going to grab this mystage.playSound. And we can take a look at the documentation so we can see what we're actually looking for. So I'm going to search for the playSound method. Okay, and the first one that I see is public void playSound, and it accepts as a parameter a double array. Okay, so we can give it in the parameters our double array of city music that we created from step 1. So mystage.playSound city music, and then we would like for it to pause for 6 seconds. So over in the instructions, okay, it says then pause for 6 seconds to allow the song to play. So what I'm going to do here is say mystage.pause and 6 seconds. Okay. And then test the concert. So in the concert, test your show city method by commenting the call to play concert and adding the following. So I'm going to go back over to my concert. Currently I've got show unicorn from my last level, but I want to test the show city, and I'm going to copy that and paste it. Run this, see what errors we get, if any. No errors so far, which is always a good sign. It should play that sound. It's kind of a dusty little groove. And if you have no errors, go ahead and continue on. Hit finish. And then it says, let's store the minimum and maximum values for sounds in the theater and use these in the scene. So the scene will play music louder during the daytime but quieter during the nighttime. So soundeffects.java has decrease volume and increase volume methods to change the volume of an array of sounds. Okay, so they have imported this sound effects class for us. And you can scroll through and see that it has a decrease volume and an increase volume. And then it's asking me to go to character story and add the following to the show city method. Okay, so again, I'm going to search for show city, get rid of that, and look at my first to do. So it says increase the volume of the city music using the sound effects increase volume. Okay, so I'm going to copy this, paste sound effects increase volume, and to take a look at that sound effects increase volume, need to find it again. It's looking for a double array. Okay, it's also looking. Oh wait, where's the decrease volume? Oh, here's decrease. Okay, it is looking for a double array also. I was looking at the wrong one. But the decrease volume accepts a double array, and so does the increase volume. It accepts a double array. Show city. So I'm going back here, and I need to, in the increase volume method, input the double array of city music that we created from the last level. Okay. So it says, increase the volume by using this method, the increase volume method. It says, play the music array again, and then pause for 6 seconds to allow the song to play. So I'm going to copy the code from above because we have already played this music, and we've paused for 6 seconds, but I've increased the volume now, and I want to play the music again and pause for 6 seconds. You can go ahead and run it just to make sure that everything is going okay. And you should be able to tell an increase of the volume of the same music that you heard before. So that same tune played twice, and the second one should have been a little bit louder. So then it says display the image city nighttime PNG as the background of the stage. So we have up until this point the daytime. So I'm going to copy that daytime display image code, and I'm going to display the image of the nighttime. So we're transitioning from daytime to nighttime. I'm going to copy this nighttime file, paste it in, city nighttime. Display the image of your character on the stage. Again, I've already done that. I'm going to grab this code one more time from displaying my character. Paste it in. And it says decrease. While I'm reading this, I'm going to stop it and run my code just to make sure that everything is okay and turn down the volume. But on step number 5, it says decrease the volume of the city music using sound effects decrease volume twice. Okay, looking at my screen, I want to see the transition to nighttime and that there's no errors. And there's the transition to nighttime. That's what it should look like. Okay, so we need to decrease the volume of the city music using sound effects decrease volume twice. So in big bold letters it says to do this twice, and we're doing this with city music. Again, that's what goes in our parameters. Okay, and I'm going to copy that, paste it in again, sound effects.decrease volume city music, and pause for 6 seconds to allow the song to play. Play the music, play the city music array again, and pause for six seconds. Okay, so I'm going to grab that from above when I turned up the volume, but now I have turned down the volume. All right, I'm going to stop and run, and you should take your time now to do that. Run it, make sure that it's displaying the images that you have expected it to play. Listen for the volume change. It'll start out a little soft, and then it should increase in volume. You'll then change from the daytime scene to the nighttime scene. Hear the city, and you have decreased the volume 2 times and played that sound 1 more time. Okay, so that all should look good. Click Finish. And on the last programming level, it says, let's make sure the volume does not go above or below the minimum or maximum allowed by the theater. So in the soundeffects.java file, so flow over to the sound effects file, it says create 2 public static constants. So 2 public static constants named min volume and max volume. So there's a lot there. So we need public static final. Final is the keyword for a constant, and now I need the data type. So I'm looking and I see that it wants me to set the minimum value to -1.0, which tells me since it's a decimal it has to be a double. I'm going to name it min underscore volume, all caps, and initialize it, set it equal to a -1.0. And I'm going to copy that and paste it, and instead of it being min volume, I'm going to have it be max volume and set it equal to a +1.0. Okay, so public static final double, min volume equals -1.0 and max volume equals +1.0. All right, and then in the soundeffects.decrease volume method, so flow down to the decrease volume method, which I see right here, make sure the volume does not go lower than the minimum volumes. So we just set that constant variable of min volume to be -1.0, and we want to make sure that it doesn't go below, that our volume does not go below that minimum volume. So it says add another if statement in the for loop. So I'm looking at the comments and it says to do, use if statements to make sure the volume is not less than min volume. So I need to make an if statement. Okay. And it says add another if statement in the for loop to check if the value is less than min volume. So what value is it talking about? Well, the value of the indexes from the samples double array, from the double array named samples. So I'm in this for loop. Its iteration variable is I, and we can see that we also have this line of code saying samples at index I times equals 0.5. So that's how we're grabbing each index of this double array. So I need to say samples at index I, and I want to check and see if it's less than my min volume. And if it is less than my min volume, for example, I'm making this up, if my minimum, if the samples element at index I is at -5, that's too low. I want it to be at -1. So I'm just going to reset it. Samples at index I is now going to be equal to the minimum volume. Okay. And then it says, so I'm done with my if statement. And then it says in the sound effects increase volume method, make sure the volume does not go higher than the maximum volumes. And it wants me to add an if statement in the for loop to check if the value is greater than maximum volume. And if that's true, set the value to maximum volume. So essentially, I am just reversing this. Instead of checking to see if I'm less than my minimum volume, I want to check to see if I'm greater than my maximum volume. So I'm actually going to grab that code, come down to the increase volume method, and reverse this. I want to see if that element at index I is greater than my maximum volume. And if it is, if this is a true statement, I want to set that element at index I equal to the maximum volume. Okay? Go ahead and run it. Make sure that we haven't, but it looks like I have got an error. I forgot my semicolon. I'm going to stop. And I might have done that with minimum volume too. I did do it with minimum volume. clear the console, run it again. Okay, don't forget your semicolons. And double check, make sure that you don't have any errors just like I did. And listen to that beat, watch the scene change from daytime to nighttime, and enjoy the concert.